Hello and welcome to Delta College Impact. I'm Roger Waller, your host for today's program. And on today's show, we're talking cars and automotive. And later on in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about diesels and what goes on in our diesel technology program. But on the first half of the program, we're talking about auto body repair, and I'm joined by our instructor, George Deschaux. And we also have one of George's students, Aaron Przybilla. And we're going to talk a little bit about auto body repair. And George, you might as well update me. Now, we're calling it something other than auto body repair. The new trend is to call it what?
We're actually calling it auto collision repair.
And unfortunately, most of the work that you do is caused by collision, so I guess this is why they're
Correct.
changing the name. Yeah. Now, George, you might as well talk a little bit to our audience about your background and a little bit about the number of years that you've been here at Delta. How long have you been teaching here at Delta?
I've been teaching here at Delta for 28 years. I'm finishing up 28. And it's been really enjoyable teaching the auto body class.
And I know one of the great things is that you are also a product of Delta College as well, because you took some of your training here at Delta way back, but a few years ago. And did you major in auto body repair at that time?
Back in '56, yes.
Oh man, that's even giving dates here, you know. But now, George, going back then, you had another outstanding instructor, I guess, that you worked with.
Yes, my previous instructor is the one that really got me going on collision repair. Of course, at that time it was called auto body repair, and I really enjoyed it. One way or another, I just happened to stay with it, and it just worked out just great.
Oh, I tell you, it's super. On our opening, you saw a shot of our Holt building, and that's where most of our automotive programs are handled. And one of the things, I guess, in your shop, we're going to be taking a visit to George's shop, and we'll see a lot of your equipment. Now, before we get into the equipment and what goes into the program and stuff, let's talk a little bit with Aaron and find out. Now, Aaron, what's your background? You went to Bear Creek High School?
Yeah, I went to Bear Creek High School, and then Mr. Rizzanelli, he talked me into going to the program here at Delta. And then I had a friend who had told me maybe I should be taking auto body too, and so I took auto body too, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I really had a lot of fun for my first semester here, and enjoyed it, and now I'm almost finished and stuck with it. So.
And this is your second year here at Delta.
Yeah.
Now, George, if we would look at a student like Aaron who comes to Delta, what are some of the courses that student would take while they're here in auto body repair?
Auto electric class and auto mechanic class would be an ideal class, right along with other math class, things that we have on our certificated program.
And so, Aaron, when you leave Delta, you're going to be leaving with that certificate?
Yes, I will. I've already been taking some of the other classes that go along with the certificate.
Now, what are some of the other courses that you've had to take in that program?
There's a welding class that you got to take. There's as George said, a math class, and I think industrial relations is another class, and I think there's one more. I can't.
No, that's okay. No, I'll tell you, one of the things as you look at the certificate program is the goal, I know, George, is not just to give the students strictly auto body repair, but to give them a whole sort of exposure to that automotive area. Now, one of the things that also goes into your program is coordination with industry, and I know you came out of industry as well. You had an opportunity to work in the automotive field. How close is that relationship with some of your businesses out there?
Even today, it's real close, working with the industry. Back a few years ago, we were working, quite a bit with the apprenticeship program, although that was kind of phased out just, in the last 10 years or so. But other than that, it still have quite a bit of impact. Just recently, I've been called quite a few times about job opening for students, and this is a great time, to have that type of a call as we're finishing up the semester.
Absolutely, and I know that we're going to talk a little bit about what Aaron's plans are, but we're going to go to a video, and what we want to do is to show you a little bit of that hands-on exposure that students get. And now this is our auto body shop area, and George, you might talk a little bit about what the audience is looking at right now.
They're looking right in the shop. Well, this is, of course, outside of the shop. again, back in the shop, and we're doing the actual repair work there.
And I see the students get a lot of hands-on exposure. Now, Aaron, as you got into the shop and had a chance to work with some of the equipment, what were some of the areas that you like to specialize in?
I like to paint. That's my thing. I like to paint. And I'm pretty good at it. I think I'm the best, but you know.
Now, what's the student doing right here?
He's
Block sanding.
block sanding.
So just block
Get
sanding.
things
So,
out real straight.
and this one, it looks like, is he causing the collision or is this repairing it?
Looked like he found possibly a high spot there
Uh-huh.
on that panel.
Now, this is what you'd call the auto prep work, getting ready for the paint job.
The final finish.
How many steps does it take to, work with that car to finally get it ultimately painted?
It depends on the condition of the car when it comes in. It has a lot to do with how much work goes into it.
Now, that type of thing would say that car was in bad shape to go to that point.
Most of the car we get in the shop is quite often in bad condition.
Now, what would this student be doing?
I think it was cutting a piece of metal out from one of the area where it was bad.
Okay, so yeah, sort of cutting it out, and like you say, it's really auto body repair, so if you saw a rust spot or something like that, they could be repairing that vehicle here. And no doubt we're shaking up the paint. Now, George, one of the things we talked a little bit about off the air was the expense of some of the paint that you put on. Are those not the regular old household paint products that you deal with?
Nope, it's not. With today's technology, the paint, quite often to possibly sell cars, one of the things that the manufacturers are coming out with is now what they call a two-stage paint job. In fact, they're even working, quite a few of the company has what they call a three-stage paint job, which there's actually 3 layers of different material that goes on there, starting from the base, intermediate, and the final clear coat.
Now, Aaron, this is your specialty here in the painting. How come you use just the stop and start spray technique?
You just don't want to get a lot of paint everywhere, I guess.
So this allows for a smoother coat?
Smoother coat and whatever. And actually, what I do is I like to get really close to the panel, and then the faster you move, it breaks up the particles at the air nozzle better, and you get a smoother coat on there.
And this is the back end again of our Holt building, and that gives you a little bit of an idea as far as what goes on in the auto shop, collision repair area. Now, Aaron, as you look at, you're getting ready to leave the program right now, what are your next career steps?
Well, it's either to get a job in auto body or go over to auto mechanics. I'm going to get my degrees in both of them, so, you know.
Oh, terrific. So
Either way.
you've had the exposure in both of the programs at this
Yes.
point in time. And so are you getting a certificate in both areas?
Yes, I plan on it.
Oh, terrific. Now, one of the things, George, as you work with the other instructors in the area, I know you guys work on this compatible type of programs. What are some of the other automotive programs that we have here at Delta?
What are the other? The auto electric and auto mechanic program, and we're kind of pretty closely related to welding too, because we take in a lot of welding. And with today's cars, the way they're built, it's a challenge. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. We have collision repair, we have welding that we have to do. A lot of the cars' parts are now made out of plastic. So it's an ongoing thing to really learn and to continue on. It's a challenge.
Oh, I would imagine. And one of the big challenges I know deals with safety and the aspect of teaching the students the proper safety techniques to follow. And so what are some of the safety aspects that you try to stress with the students?
A lot of the safety, especially when you work around power tools, yes. And we have a lot of chemical that we deal with too, so all of that pertains to safety. Problem that we have is we also have to not generate too much of the waste, and that would have a safety factor too down the road.
Now, Aaron, as you start to look at, you've learned some of the safety techniques, and now if I was going to go and look at your car out in our parking lot here at Delta, would it have the best paint job in the lot?
Well, I believe it would.
Your fellows
They like to work in our garage in the shop, and and they turn out okay, but you know.
Now, how do you grade the students? Is it like you go out into the parking lot and look at Aaron's car and say, Aaron, looks like you're one of my A students?
No,
How can you evaluate the students?
We just graded right on the spot. One thing about collision repair as well as refinishing is that you can actually see the product right there, and it's very easy to grade. And the student would know when they possibly might have done wrong or if they've done an excellent job, because it all shows right there as far as the final product.
Yeah. So when you grade a student, you're actually grading them on the output as well as the processes that they take, I guess, as far as handling safety techniques.
Not so much on time as far as time-wise at this time, but later they'll learn that as they, you know, actually get more experience.
Now, what sort of careers would students in your program be qualifying for?
They would be qualifying, mainly it would be in the first level, which is actually considered as an apprentice or a worker's helper, and would be a low-tech person, in other words, instead of a high-tech.
And so what we would expect is that Aaron's education does not stop here. As you say, this is going to be that entry level, and that Aaron will continue to develop his trade and work on some additional techniques.
Right, because the way that the cars, again, are designed, and with all the new items on the car, it's an ongoing thing. Yep.
Do you have tough cars and easy cars to paint? Aaron, do you have any favorites?
I like cars that come in that really don't have any body work on them. All I got to do is just prep them to get them sprayed and paint them and ship them out. That's what I like.
So that's the best kind of car. There's no model that you enjoy. They all, just as long as you keep your car up.
Well, there was the Corvette. I like that one. That one turned out real nice.
Now, the students get the opportunity to work on not only their own cars, but what other types of vehicles do you work on?
We work on just about anything that comes through the door except big diesels. And other than that, it's just fun working on smaller cars right up to the large utility vans.
And that's a great opportunity, and that transition is going to allow me to thank George and Aaron for joining me on the first half of the program. And on the second half of the show, George alluded to diesels and big diesels, and we're going to talk about some of those big diesels with Ken Pekarik. But those of you who are interested in learning more about our auto body and collision repair programs can contact George here at Delta College, and his phone number is 954-5243. And stop down in the shop and sign up for a course and learn a little bit about how to do that repair of your vehicle and the paint job, and hopefully get enrolled in one of our certificate programs. So stay tuned as we're going to talk about the big trucks and the diesel program with Ken Pekarik. We'll be right back after these brief public service messages. Hello and welcome back to Delta College Impact. I'm Roger Waller, your host for today's program. And on the first half of the show, we talked with George Nishimoto about our auto body repair program here at Delta College. And on the second half of the program, we're going to talk about the big stuff, our diesel technology program. And joining me on the second half is Ken Pekarik, our instructor in diesel technology. And to Ken's left, we have Derek Witten, one of the students in our diesel tech program. Now, I'm going to start with Ken. And Ken, let's talk a little bit about diesel technology. What's involved in the program?
Our program basically deals with getting the technicians trained to go out and work in either the trucking industry or in the heavy-duty equipment, which is off-highway. And also we have some that also get into the marine application, which would be large boat ships, that type of an application.
Oh, terrific. And I know one of the neat things, which is kind of an interesting sidelight to the program, is that you're located in the Holt Building. And the Holt Building is named after?
Benjamin Holt. He founded Caterpillar back in the early part of this century, and basically is from Stockton. They since have moved, but we're basically the founding city for Caterpillar.
Yeah, which is kind of neat when you think about our program being in the Holt Building, because it's very appropriate with all the technology related to the heavy equipment. Now, Derek, let's talk a little bit about diesel technology and what caused you to get into the diesel tech program.
Well, the thing is that I was like, when I was younger, I had a little, infatuation with trucks. And so therefore, I felt at a particular time now is that a good time to go into the diesel tech program.
Oh, I think that's great. I think as a kid, a lot of us had that chance to have those big trucks. You just carried that interest into really a vocation.
Yes.
And what can be able to use the diesel tech program in your profession?
Well, the thing is basically for me is that I have, a family that does have some property there and farming down in the valley, which they do have like, off-highway type of equipment, and they do have some on-highway equipment. And for theirs that they're getting older now, and the fact is that they're probably going to need someone that's going to know how to upgrade the systems that they have down there, the vehicles, and the whole, shabam, if you want to say.
That's right.
And other than that, I figure the best technology is, here at Delta does offer a good technology here. And of course, Mr. Percarity, he's a very good instructor on teaching the diesel technology, course here at the college.
Well, I have to commend you, Ken, on your selection of students to bring on the program. I mean, it's always nice to have somebody who's going to say nice things about you, which is great. Now, Ken, involved in that program, I know you have a variety of courses and a variety of pieces of equipment that people work on. How do you ever get that equipment? I mean, that's big stuff.
Most of the stuff that we do get in the shop to work on is donated through large corporations or trucking firms. Also, we do purchase it through school grants and capital outlay items. We just recently received a Peterbilt truck from Peterbilt Motor Corporation, which basically donated that to us. And different engines and so forth come from different companies like Caterpillar and Cummins and Detroit and that. So it works out very well.
And I know the great thing for those companies, too, is that we're training their technicians who are going to be able to work on that equipment. And I should point out to anyone out there in the audience who wants to donate something to the program, at the end of the show, we're going to give you an address that you can contact Ken. And you see the phone number down on the bottom of your screen talking about our vocational education programs. So a lot of opportunity to get people and get their hands dirty. And I guess, Derek, we have to talk a little bit about getting your hands dirty, because I guess one of the neat things about our program is it isn't all theory. You get your chance to get in there and work on the engines. What have been some of the fun aspects of the courses that you've taken?
Well, the fun aspects of it is that to be able to get in there and work on an actual engine.
And we're going to show our audience that as we're going to take you on a video tour and show you some of those things that Derek has been working on, and Derek and Ken are going to tell us about what we're looking at. Ken, maybe we'll have you do the lead into the shop here.
This is the backside of our facility that has basically 5 bays that allow us to get in and work on the trucks and that. And this is basically the inside of our facility that shows the many different types of workstations and the students that are working, along with the crane assembly and that.
All right, now here we go, Derek. What are some of these guys up to here?
Well, basically right here we are inspecting and checking the sensors that's on the engines. And basically right as you can see, we're going through the manuals that we do have there to work on. And this here is the glass bead machine that we use to glass bead things back, like rust and stuff that's on different type of components that come off the vehicles.
And I noticed one of the nice things, Ken, is that we have some women involved in the program as well.
Yes.
I guess that's been a change that has occurred over recent times.
Yes, we do have a few women that do get it in the program, and that's a good area for them to get into and to succeed in.
Now, I guess what's going on here, Derek? I guess you guys get a chance to roll these engines outside.
Well, basically what we're doing here is that we're doing what's called a cylinder cutout test. Is where we're coming out and we're hooking them up to computers, as you can see right here, and we're checking basically for the cutout of each injector that's injecting into each cylinder.
Now, Ken, I suppose the introduction of computers into this area has been one of the dramatic changes in the field over recent times.
Yes, in the last basically 10 to 15 years, but basically 10 years, we've gotten a great influx of computers. In fact, all our engines now are basically electronic engines.
Now, Derek, as far as the Diesel Tech program here, I guess you have to start to gain that computer sensitivity in class. And was that something that you were surprised to see?
Basically, yes, because that a lot of the things that I really didn't know is that with the high techness that's in the diesel field now, it's very high tech, and a lot of it I really didn't realize that was there that we had. But the technology that's there now is basically now all of the engines now are basically all controlled by electronics and through the electronic field.
I noticed all the nice equipment that you have, and this is a library that you maintain in the shop?
Yes, we have a library there along with room for our computers that we aren't using at the time, along with other different types of equipment like computer alignment and that.
And I noticed and here we are putting the engines back into the shop. I noticed a large range of tools that you also maintain in the shop. I guess that's something, was that just for display purposes?
No, we provide all the tools in the facility, and a student coming in basically does not need to have his own tools, but it's good to have when you leave though. When you go to work you have to buy your own tools, but we do supply everything.
And so the students will gain that experience of really seeing the type of tool that's going to fit the application that they're after.
That's correct.
And I know on the first half of the show we talked with George a little bit about the safety aspects of his program, and you might want to touch on some of the safety aspects of your program.
Safety-wise, basically ours is a heavy program, and so we have, our parts are a lot larger than the automotive, and so we have to make sure that the type of equipment that we use a lot of lifting equipment so that the individual itself does not do any physical lifting that would damage their back or so forth. So we make sure that they're properly trained in that aspect, along with chemical usage in regards to different types of cleaners and that, and along with all of our shops basically have to have eye protection to keep stuff out of our eyes and that. But we do have the equipment that you use and train them, and that's what they use in the field, is to use lifting equipment instead of using your back.
Now, I guess, Derek, one of the things I guess we have to think about is, what was it that, we found you had the fascination with trucks. Now, as you think about the other students in the programs, how do they talk about the program, and what do they find interesting about it as well?
Well, the thing is, a lot of students find, that I can probably say from, is that they feel that the program is just that basically it's the part that where you can actually, it's the only program here that you can find at Delta College probably that you can get hands-on. And the best thing is that when you have a program that you have hands-on training, to where that way it makes it even more funner to do. And, and it's, so when you get out into the field, to work in the field, that you'll know what you're doing when before you get out there. And by having that type of training and hands-on, it won't become too much. The thing is, and then on top of that, Ken, he makes it a pretty fun class to work. It is not where you're constantly have to be, a lot of instructors are kind of like put in like demands and deadlines on you, as where Mr. Pekarik, he lets us go at our own pace and let us work at it until you get, the know-how and how to do it.
And I noticed you do a little work with work teams so that you have the students working together on different projects.
Yes, most of our students work as teams of either 2, 3, or 4, depending on the projects that they're working on, so that they are able to get the hands-on that they need and work together. They work better together because they also learn from each other, so it works out better that way.
I know, and I have to kid you a little bit. One of the challenges that Ken faces is keeping students in the program, and not so much that they don't like the program, it's because your students are in big demand in industry, aren't they?
Yes. A lot of the students, in fact, most of the students we have are already working at this time, and those that aren't, that want to work, and basically that can while they're going to school, usually do not have a problem finding a job.
And I know a lot of your students go not only here in the county, but there's demand for students all over the country, I guess, at this point in time.
Yes, there is.
Where do some of the jobs that the students get, what are they, and where are they located?
We have some students that come from up in the Sacramento area and up in basically in the northern part of the state, and we'd also have students that actually leave and go out of state. But they work, the majority of them go to work in the trucking industry. That's what you're looking at.
And I know, Derek, one of your educational aspirations is what do you hope to achieve through the Diesel Tech program, education-wise?
Well, educational-wise, is basically to learn as much as I can about the technology of a diesel engine, and someday hoping to maybe to go to work for maybe Cummins or CAT, and possibly in a way to help design future diesel engines.
And I know one of the things that the students will walk away with, hopefully, and Derek being one of those that we hope to see, will be that certificate program in diesel technology and that AA degree in here from Delta College. Ken, we're right towards the end, and I know one of the things I want to do is to thank you for joining us, and we're going to put up your address and phone number, and we always try to be encouraging and have our audience contact you. If you have any questions about our diesel technology program here, you can contact the man who has the answers, and that's Ken Pekarik here at Delta College, and his phone number is 954-5241, or you can write for information about the program at Delta College, 5151 Pacific Avenue, here in Stockton, zip code 95207. And I want to thank you and Derek for joining me on today's program, because one of the things you've learned about is not only painting your car, but working on your diesel products as well. A lot of opportunities here at Delta College. So I hope you've joined us and learned something during the program, and we encourage you to watch future Delta Impacts. Thanks for watching.